Does this sound familiar? You got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Ugh. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle. And a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows, like Survivor, all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's DIRECTV.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Lights out and away we ayo. I'm Trey Kerby and welcome to another episode of No Break, a Formula One podcast from the No Dunks Inc. Classic Factory, proudly part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, the Athletic app, or any other podcast service, or if you're part of the Slipstream team watching live on YouTube, thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm your host, Trey Kerby. We got a new wheelman on the pit crew today. That's J.E. Skeets. Skeets, what's up, man?
I didn't even know what to do with my hands when you said I'm on the pit crew. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do? I'm here. I'm going to try and not wreck things, but I'm ecstatic to talk about the US Grand Prix, especially.
That's exactly right. Very excited to have you here. We also got JD monitoring the tire pressure up in the paddock. And, of course, we're joined by our local F1 expert and a man who thinks Grand Prix anytime he hears the letters GP. It's GG, Graydon Gordian. Graydon, what's up, dude?
Hey, what is going on? I am very excited to be back. What great races we have to talk about.
Well, it's been a long time since we had a No Breaks podcast. Lots of new beginnings down here in Atlanta. But Graydon, I saw you were able to catch the US Grand Prix live. And from what I could tell, you were quite excited.
Well, I am a native Texan after all, so I had to, and an Austinite at that. So I had to do the great state of Texas proud and sport the hat. I would be wearing it on the show today, but it does not really work with the headphones. So I'll go back to the old Senate cap.
Wow, you just made me realize it's impossible for a cowboy to ever host a podcast.
It is. I honestly,
it's so true. You don't hear a lot of cowboy podcasts.
No,
so, I would subscribe to Beans on the Fire, or I don't know. It's another No Lassos. I guess that could be our rodeo podcast, or as Crofty called it, Rodeo. Everybody was getting in on the fun though. Graydon, you'll like this. I wore your dad's belt for today's show.
There you go. There you go.
He's got the props here, eh?
Yeah. I don't know, JD. I don't know if you want to go solo when I'm showing the belt buckle.
Yeah, whip it
out, man. I'm a little nervous there.
Yeah, that's the old country and western song. Don't let your babies grow up to be podcasters. You know.
Hey, speaking of babies, I thought that's where Trey was going with the, wow, you managed to watch the race here on the weekend, Graydon. Congratulations to you and Taryn on the birth of twins, a baby girl and a baby boy. So congratulations. How's everybody doing?
Thank you. Everyone's doing great. Mom's doing great. Both kids are doing great.
Awesome.
Just, it's just a brand new day, a new life of exhaustion and stress but also joy. So it's great. It's the best.
That's awesome.
Well, I thought it was very cool that you named them Max and Lewis after the race we had during the weekend. I thought that was a very fitting name because, like you're saying, it can be a stressful time when you're new parents, and there were some stressful moments in this race. The US Grand Prix down in Austin, the Circuit of the Americas. We got a tight championship battle. And I love that the beef between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen started 10 minutes into free practice one. Hamilton pushes Max out of the way for a flying lap. Max gives him the finger and calls him a stupid idiot. He should have better insults than this. I'll say that. But Graydon, tell me, do Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton actually hate each other, or are they just competitors?
I think they're just competitors. I think that these guys are super intense out there on track, and I think that they love to play mind games with one another. But I think that there's a lot of respect. You see it after races when they're fist bumping or kind of talking, I think cordially. I think there's a long storied history of this going back to, Niki Lauda and James Hunt always having an odd degree of warmth and camaraderie. And throughout the year, Prost carrying Senna's casket at his funeral, guys who just had incredibly intense rivalries, actually having a lot of respect for one another. And I think the respect is there because they acknowledge that they're, the best two drivers on the grid right now.
Well, this is my first of many really dumb questions because that's why I'm here. I am an F1 noob. I tried to convince my wife Nora to come on this podcast instead of me. She knows way more, and we'll get her there. She'll be on one of these No Breaks episodes one of these days. What's your go-to road rage, Graydon? Are you, are you hammering a horn? Are you a finger? Are you dropping F-bombs? What do you do?
I'm not a finger guy.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm not. That seems weird. I will admit I've become a little quick with the horn. My wife thinks I need to chill out with how quickly I'm hitting the horn.
Okay.
I think so that's But I'm also trying to be. I'm trying to just be zen out there.
Of course.
In Atlanta traffic, you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. TK, what about you? What do you do? What's your go-to?
For me, it would be bad in an F1 car, let me tell you, because for me, it's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Both hands off the wheel.
Yeah, just disgust. Just disgust.
Probably don't want to do that at 200 miles an hour, but 20 miles an hour on the interstates here in Atlanta, that's fine. Graydon, would you support F1 cars getting horns?
I think it's a great idea. Great idea. I mean, I see no downside. What is the downside?
My only note, these cars need horns.
No, leave that stuff to me. Those are my type of ideas. And I will say, I know we're going to get into the race. You're setting us up. You're great here, TK. In honor of Sergio Perez not being able to drink, I'm going to try and take down 32 ounces of water for him during this podcast. And, I don't love water. That's the weird thing about me. Not a lot of taste to it to me. I like something else. But to Sergio, struggling with his drinking system. Is that what just happened there, Graydon? It just doesn't work sometimes?
This is not the first instance of that happening. This has famously happened to Kimi Räikkönen, I think, a few times.
Always.
They put millions upon millions of dollars into these cars and everything that could go wrong and have a backup plan, but they can't figure out how to drink water from a straw. I had a Camelback when I was in Arizona. That's all you need.
I think part of the issue is this has been discussed a lot on F1 technical forums and things like that. Like, why the heck can't they get this right? I guess the conclusion is there's no competitive advantage to having a better water pump system. So they just don't focus on it at all. And it easily comes dislodged. It feels like a very solvable problem to me. Like, I can't really explain why it's happening, but I do think it would be really tough to do a race like that in Texas with no water.
Yeah. Well, Perez said that it was like the most physical race he's ever raced or something, right? So you would think there is a little bit, some sort of benefit to being able to drink water if you're driving in 100-degree heat for 2.5 hours. This brings us to my second dumb suggestion. Should Formula One drivers be allowed to have a snack during the race at a pit stop? Whatever you can fit in your mouth in those 4 seconds, you're allowed to eat it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. During a pit stop, absolutely.
Yeah, just have a guy like with a Jimmy John's sub
like
waiting there. He sticks it in your mouth and you're good to go.
Yeah. No, you don't like that idea, Graydon?
I mean, it's just the helmet. I mean, listen, if you can get it, you can eat it. If you can get it in your mouth, you can eat it. I think it's fine.
Oh, hold on. Is it against the rules? Like, can you legally have a granola bar during a pit stop, or is it actually against the rules?
It's probably good. I don't know about that. It might be illegal. Is it illegal to remove your helmet?
Oh,
I could see that being like a safety regulation.
Huh.
I guess I've never looked into it. Guys aren't really normally take them
I
out.
thought you were an expert.
When they're still in it, they tend to leave their helmets on, so it hasn't come up yet.
And that's it for No Breaks. Thanks for joining us. We're putting horns in cars and giving these guys snacks. It's a road trip. Actually, there were races. It wasn't just practice and qualifying and people not being able to drink. Lewis and Max got into it on the very first turn. We had, after qualifying, Verstappen sitting on pole. Hamilton is second, but for whatever reason, starting second seems to be almost an advantage here since you get the inside lane on the turn there at turn 1. Great start for Hamilton. He's got Max beat to turn 1. This is a track that Mercedes has been dominant at. They won in 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19. Graydon, after one turn, did you think this race was over?
No, I didn't. I thought there was still a lot left there. It certainly it opened up the opportunity for the undercut from Red Bull. We've always known them to have really aggressive tire strategy, and we saw them doing that. But it also is a track where you can overtake genuinely if you game it out right. It's not like a Barcelona or a Singapore or something like that, right? So I think so. It felt plausible that if people played their cards right, Red Bull could make it back, could win. They also out the gate appeared to have better pace. He hung right there with Hamilton. Both Hamilton and Max thought that Max was quicker on those opening laps. So clearly Red Bull was going to be able to hang in there with them, but there was a lot of racing left for their various strategies to play.
I did have a question about that start there. Is it always with this race? Like, is it an advantage to be second, after qualifying, to have like sort of the inside track? It appears like a better sort of angle to hit that first turn, or no?
There's a few tracks where they say that. This is, I think, something they famously say at Monza as well. And there's a couple others where I feel like this comes up. The idea is it better to be second? As much as people like to say that as a talking point, you never see anybody like throwing it in qualifying in an attempt to get. You never see anybody.
Nobody pulls over and has a snack.
Nobody ever like purposefully gives up that spot.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the teams, they don't seem to ever act on that information. If they, I feel like that's more like, fan perspective. That it is like something that.
If anything, we should go back over the last 10 races here, or I don't know how long they've been doing it in Austin. You guys could tell me, but how many times from lights out does the second place car overtake the car in first place at that first turn? I mean, does it happen 75% of the time? Is it pretty rare, like with this instance with Hamilton do it to Max? I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you there, Graydon. Your eyes lit up.
I don't have them. I was actually looking for the Slipstream team to jump in here.
Oh, they probably will. They're very knowledgeable.
Okay, great.
The data on that. I was looking, but I don't know. But it's a great point. That they were saying during the race that oftentimes the person in second or the person who starts on pole is often not the winner. So there is, so this is, I guess, an exception. This year is an exception.
Hot start for Hamilton. He goes into first, and Max looked like he could have lost out, but he was a little lucky, I feel like, that Checo was in third there. Kind of let Max back into second position to kind of continue the race from there. And that's when Red Bull started getting busy in the pits. Around lap 8, I think, you could start hearing Verstappen saying he was noticing that Hamilton was slipping around on the hard tires there. In lap 11, Red Bull pulls the undercut, brings Max in for a new set of tires. Hamilton stays out for another 3 laps. And when he exits the pits, he's a few seconds down on Max. So, Graydon, you're telling me this is an aggressive strategy, changing your tires first. Red Bull had to do it to be able to get back in this race?
Honestly, what was interesting is I think either team anticipated doing it if they weren't in first. I had read that as well, that Mercedes went in anticipating perhaps not being in the lead heading into turn 1, obviously because they were not starting on pole, and had considered in their pre-race strategy pitting Lewis as early as lap 8. But of course, having taken track position, they didn't end up doing so. But so in general, I think people knowing it was going to be a 2-stop race, and knowing the track position was important, that the undercut might be powerful because the medium tires were going to degrade very quickly on at the Circuit of the Americas. I think that a lot of people went in very aggressively there. They weren't even the first to pit. I think Alonso did pit on lap 8. So that you saw people coming in incredibly early in this race, way more, So.
I have a question with that. Again, a noob question, but there are no wrong questions, right? No bad questions. That's what they told me in high school. Because I was always that kid asking the dumb questions. Why is it when, especially in the case of Max versus Hamilton, if one guy pits, why doesn't the other guy go in right away? Like just follow him. Like, okay, you're doing it, I'm in there too. Like, why does that not happen a lot? I've never really failed to figure that out.
So it's interesting. I actually feel like you used to see that more often.
Okay.
Even just a couple of seasons ago, when a guy pit, the next guy would pick the very next lap, attempt to try to like minimize the impact of the undercut. And in more recent seasons, people have just been taking more dramatically distinct tire strategies. I actually do agree with you. I think there are instances where this might also in particular be a Lewis and Max thing, because in the midfield you do still see that more often, but Lewis is so good at managing his tires and is so open to very long stints on a set of tires that he will say, let's just keep going, let's press our advantage.
Right.
I can maintain a good pace on this partially used set. So I feel like that's actually a strategy that maybe is particular to those two drivers and the way that they're going to react. Because when it happens in the midfield, you'll see, Ricciardo pit from behind Leclerc, and then Leclerc will immediately pit the next lap or whatever. That's kind of a hypothetical example. But you still see that more with cars where the drivers and the cars are a little bit closer.
Okay.
So you're telling me it sounds a little bit like you would say this is a mistake by Lewis Hamilton, because if you're coming in pre-race, Mercedes is saying we might need to pit at lap 8. Things start happening at lap 8. He's sliding around a little bit. Then Red Bull pulls in Verstappen 3 laps later. So it now ends up being 6 laps after what they were planning. I mean, it's Lewis Hamilton. That's like saying, LeBron James, why did you pass it to Danielle Marshall in the corner? You're going to let the greats do their thing, but it feels like twice during this race, Hamilton stayed out a little bit too long on his tires.
It's definitely tough to say that Mercedes made a mistake this race. I think because, to be honest, their strategy was incredibly thoughtful and well honed, and right up until the very last minute, I and a lot of other people watching thought it was gonna work. So I honestly thought Red Bull had blown it, pitted too early in both instances, and Mercedes was actually going to get the win. So I think and a lot of people did. So it's not. I don't know if I would say they made a mistake. I just think that at the end of the day, you still got to make it happen out there on track, and a lot of factors played into what cost them the win. I wouldn't say it was them pushing his stints too far, in my opinion.
Is it considered a double undercut in this race, or is that just something I made up in my notes here? Because Verstappen comes in before Hamilton for the first stint, and also comes in before Hamilton for their second pit stop. This is lap 30. Red Bull brings Max in for new tires. Hamilton stays out another 8 laps after that. So he's lap 38 when he finally comes back out. And at that point, he's 9 seconds down. Is that a double undercut, or is that just a 2-stop strategy?
Well, he did undercut him twice. Is it a double undercut? I don't know. Is that we're calling it that now? We're calling it that now.
Double under.
It is forever from this point forward. I'll tell you that.
But it made for an exciting race. I don't know. To me, it seems a little bit like a horror movie when Hamilton is 10 seconds back and there's only a handful of laps, and it's just a matter of, is he going to catch him in time? Because this one, he came out, I don't know, I think there were maybe 16 laps left, and he was 8 seconds down. So I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, okay, a half second in each one. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. That would only be 4 seconds. I don't know. I was trying to math it out while it was happening, but it's just so tense to me. You're watching this race, and you're like, the whole time, you're just watching the interval between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Is it getting shorter on this lap? Is it not? I don't know. I thought that was really exciting to watch. Is that nail-biting stuff for everybody when you're just trying to see, is it really going to be hammer time?
Oh, I think it's incredible to watch. I think it's I think it's so cool to just watch those seconds tick down. It's actually a really incredible thing if you do have the opportunity to go to a race live and you're seeing one of those chase downs, it's a really incredible thing about the live experience. Every time they go past, seeing that physical gap get shorter and shorter and shorter creates a lot of tension in person that's very different than the TV watching experience. But I mean, I was thrilled by it. It's totally gripped to the idea that, even as Mercedes said on the radio, it was going to come down to the last 3 laps, which it did.
Sure.
That the idea that, everybody was fairly confident the last 2 or 3 laps were going to involve some very intense defense from Max, some overtake attempts from Lewis. It just had this drama and this tension that was amazing, I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did 56 laps, and it comes down to what was it in the end? Like a second and a half, or I don't even know what it was. It was something like that within 2 seconds. It's pretty amazing. I'm with you though. I think you said it in person. I could see it being watching that unfold, the comeback, so to speak, like with how many laps to go. He's chipping away at his time. He's getting closer and closer. Like you're visibly seeing it. I think it does. It's difficult on television at times. It doesn't, it's tough to translate. Of course you see the time, but it's like, to me, it's like I see 9 seconds, I see 7 seconds. It's not a lot. You feel like he's right there. So I could see why that would be really cool watching live. And you've been to Austin, right?
I have. For a race? I have. Yeah. Which was great. I super encourage everyone to go. And certainly I've encouraged people to go in the past, and some people seemingly took my advice because the race was packed this year.
It was
blown away at the attendance. It was huge.
All right, so Skeets, when Hamilton's chasing down Verstappen, Graydon said he thought that Hamilton was going to catch him. It felt like Mercedes thought he was going to catch him. Did you think Lewis was catching Max?
Not really, I guess, but I have nothing to go on that. Outside of he's just leading. Riffing? Like these guys are like, they never screw up almost. So they're like damn near perfect when they're out there. And I get like the tires are going, things are getting more slippy. What am I trying to say? More slippery is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Less grip. I could have gone with that as well. So no, I don't think so, outside of like something like going drastically bad. But I do find it hilarious. These guys go 55, 56 laps. He's trying to hold them off. He's reeling them in, Hamilton is. And then suddenly there's a car in front. Can you get out of the way, Schumacher? I think it was like we had a race going on.
Get out the way.
That's insane to me that people that have been lapped that are way back are actually having somewhat of an impact on the race. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, even like DRS came into play because he's there in the way. That helped out Max. Do I have that right, Graydon? Maybe talk me through that.
That was hugely influential on the outcome of the race. At first, Schumacher coming up actually looked like it would be very costly for Max because Mick didn't get over quickly, and the dirty air he was throwing off was clearly costing Max a little bit of time. Yeah. Actually, the previous couple of laps, Max was actually bettering Lewis's times. He was pulling away from him. It looked maybe as if the race was done. Suddenly, Lewis was able to close the gap very quickly again, and it looked like having to pass him was going to cause a lot of issues. But then Max getting the DRS in order to pass him, overtake Schumacher was huge. For some reason, Lewis Hamilton either didn't get it or passed in a period where he didn't ever go through a DRS detection zone under 1 second of Max, even though at times he was, and seemingly he must have passed Mick and then gone through a DRS detection zone again. So he didn't get it for there. So the fact that was hugely influential on the outcome of the race. In fact, what looked like very unlucky initially was hugely lucky for Max. And I think, I don't want to say that was the reason Max won, but it certainly helped.
Yeah.
Okay, I definitely insured it because it was it was like maybe 1.2 seconds and Hamilton got it down to 1.02 or something like that. And just that tiny little bit of DRS put Verstappen out of range for Hamilton. I think that's crazy too, Skeets, that somebody who is that far back the way a Haas is can have a huge influence on the championship of the entire Formula One season. Really, why, I guess, is the question. Why does first place get DRS when they're passing 19th place? That doesn't make any sense.
I find that weird. Yeah.
There was a lot of criticism of that in this instance. You saw a lot on Twitter, and I think it's probably just to help drivers clear cars quickly and not have back markers holding up the race, just make it that much easier to slink by them without costing them time. And in most instances, that's fairly uncontroversial because it has little to nothing to do with the outcome of the race. Everybody's just kind of going right past. This is the only instance I can remember where DRS passing a back marker was highly influential on the outcome.
Right.
But it was huge because the one big thing is everybody was saying is where Mercedes still was stronger was their speed on the straights. And that's what they needed. They needed to get onto a straight very close with DRS and try to push in that instance to pass on either that main straightaway or that very long back straight in Austin. And he never got either of those opportunities, partly because of Schumacher.
Does that DRS kick in automatically? Is that how it works? Or is that like activated?
No, I think they have to activate it, right? I believe they have to activate it. Yeah.
So who is like, the driver is doing that?
Knowing the driver, yeah, the driver's activating it, but you have to have the ability to activate it.
I know.
To be allowed, it either is like not functional or it is. I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I got you.
So it's like I think even if you don't, you couldn't press the button and open up the back wing if you didn't, if like you weren't allowed to, if you weren't within the 1 second.
Okay.
Become able to, or it's not like as if you have to know. Oh, I'm under 1 second. It's either like the little light on your steering wheel is green to hit it, or it's not, or whatever. Right?
Okay, that's what I thought it was. I was wondering if they somehow were like being told, seeing a visual thing that like, okay, you're allowed to do it, but a little light on your steering wheel, I'm sure makes more sense. But there is like that's like the little fact checker there, basically telling you, okay, go ahead, use it if you want to.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And it's and in actuality, it's not. They're pressing, as I think somebody in the comments was pointing out, they're actually making tons of adjustments, over the course of a lap, pressing just countless little buttons on the steering wheel, adjusting all sorts of things. So I think it's very second nature just to be like, oh, boom, I do this. The reaction is instant.
But I guess the point is somebody could press it even if it's not lit up and you're within the second, DRS zone, but nothing will happen. Is that?
Well, I think it would be. Wait, are you saying it could like malfunction or?
No, I'm saying I could be 5 seconds behind you.
And, it wouldn't do anything.
Click.
Yeah, it wouldn't do anything. No,
I'm DRSing anyways. Who cares?
That's what I mean. That's what
you can't just do that.
I just think why Skeets is so fast compared to everybody else.
I'm always hitting DRS.
It's always DRS. I mean, these guys got their hands free. They could easily be snacking, but Verstappen takes the win. Hamilton second. Checo Perez finishes third. Crowd goes wild. Graydon, were you surprised that there are so many Red Bull fans in the American crowd?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of new fans in the United States. A lot of, I think as even we're somewhat evidence of that ourselves, right? And I think that Red Bull is an extremely popular team. I think they're kind of like not the underdog per se this season, but they're the challenger to the dominant team. I think people like to root for. I also think in Texas, there's a huge Hispanic population, a huge Mexican population. I think there were a lot of Perez fans in the crowd. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the fact that Checo if you watch qualifying, when Checo was on provisional pole at one point in qualifying, I think after the first lap in Q3, the crowd went insane. The roars were so loud. I think that has something to do with, Mexican American culture in Texas and support for him as well. So.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, but I don't know. I was a little bit surprised. Yeah, some of us Americans like to front run, Some of us like to be a Lewis Hamilton fan when they just finally find out about Formula One, but it's not just the top of the table that matters. Bunch of excitement further down the grid, too. In particular, some great battles between Ferrari and McLaren. Big race for your boy, baby Monaco. Charles Leclerc besting the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo, while his Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz finished ahead of the McLaren driven by Lando Norris. Graydon, what'd you think of your Ferrari boys this weekend?
This is a great race for them. It's certainly, they're just showing such consistency as drivers. If it weren't for a couple of very aggressive choices that Leclerc had made in some previous races, they would be in in third in the championship right now. I think that they're only separated by 3.5 points. I think right now this is incredible. They all drove really great races. Leclerc obviously drove an incredibly steady, end to end complete race. But the battle that we actually saw, the wheel to wheel battling between Danny Rick and Sainz and Norris early in the race, and how much strategy was involved in fighting for all those positions throughout was awesome. I mean, this sort of midfield action is the stuff that makes it great. Not just them, but further down, Raikkonen and Alonso, Vettel overtaking people. There was so much good action outside of Max and Lewis at this race. It's what made it, partly so special, not just the tension at the very top, but up and down the grid.
Yeah. I learned this weekend, Trey, sorry to jump in there. I think it was through Twitter, probably from the F1 account, that they track who has the most overtakes in a season. I forget off the top of my head who has it right now, but I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it was Vettel. Yeah,
I think it's Vettel.
Great overtaker.
Which he is a great race. He's a great racer, no doubt. But I also think it kind of says something about where his car is starting in that, where his car, how he's maybe doing in qualifying, and where his car is starting every race.
Oh, great. It's legit most improved player. It's wait, congrats, you're great at improving, but maybe you weren't very good at the beginning. Right. It's a similar vibe to it to me, but yeah, I guess they track it.
Definitely got to start behind a lot of people if you're going to pass a lot of people. But you mentioned it, Graydon, and Lawrence said it here in the Slipstream team. That 3 wide moment between Norris, Ricciardo, and Sainz was incredible. Like you're saying, Leclerc was almost a little bit too good on Sunday. We barely even got to see him driving. He was so far ahead of these 3. But Skeets, I know you're living in a Ferrari household as well.
Yeah.
Did you think it was fair that Sainz had to give back 2 places to the McLarens because he let the wrong McLaren pass him after this 3 wide moment there at the start?
I find this part amazing about racing. This hey, nope, give it back.
Give it back.
It's like a kid taking a toy from somebody. No, give it back. He's not done playing with it. That's his for 10 more minutes, and then you can have it. A lot of that happens, it feels like way more than you would expect, because of what they've done and pushing off, and I get all that. But to answer your question, I barely even knew that was a thing that happened in the race. I'm Team Ferrari, so I have to be because
not
my
fair.
wife. Yeah.
I actually thought it was a bit too much. It was so early in the race. There's so much action on that opening lap. There's so much scrapping. Normally they have a lot of forgiveness for, this sort of stuff on the opening lap. And that corner is so wild and hard fought every time around when drivers are close. I think it wasn't actually, was it corner 19 or was it one of the ones preceding it? But it was towards the end of the lap, and I just think that, Carlos clearly was somewhat deferential to the McLaren there. Yeah. I would have let it go. But
totally. He's like, I let an orange car go past me. I didn't know which one I was supposed to let go past. An orange one went past. I didn't think that wasn't right to me. You mentioned it, Graydon. Another great thing from this race, Alfa Romeo versus Alpine. Started versus, it was Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso going wheel to sideboard. That was some serious bumping and grinding there. But then almost immediately after, Alonso passes on the outside of the track around Antonio Giovinazzi after he pushed him out. And then Alpine gets on the radio saying, so it's okay to pass around the outside now, right? Raikkonen did it to us. I thought that was a hilarious moment. And I don't know if that happens with other drivers, but I like having 2 old champions in Raikkonen and Alonso being the ones who are just having grumpy old man moments during a 200-mile-per-hour race. That was hilarious.
A great moment. I agree. The call from Alpine to be
very funny.
This illegal thing is legal now, right? Was great.
And Skeets, another quick thing, a nice race I thought for Yuki Tsunoda. I know he's another favorite in your household, playing a little bit of defense out there, and he finished higher than Pierre Gasly. Gasly had to retire his car. Good stuff from Yuki.
Yeah, good stuff from Yuki. How did he do in qualifying? I remember him being in the mix there for a little bit, and I was happy about that. I don't know where he was
in the top 10.
Okay, yeah. I was loving that. I mean, I was high on Yuki coming into this season. Did he have a great first race? I can't remember. That was an eternity ago.
He got points in his first race.
Yeah, that's it. And then, things went sort of south for him in a hurry. So you weren't hearing about him too much and had some DNFs. But yeah, I was excited to see that. He had a pretty good race, I thought. And then I'm always cheering for, the Canadians out there. I do have a problem with the broadcast. And maybe this is a thing, so maybe I'm wrong, but they kept saying like this is basically like a home race for the two Canadians. I mean, it's not okay. It's really not at all. I mean, I get it. There's no Montreal this past season, right? I know there is a Grand Prix race there. It should be on the next one or next season or on the next calendar, but. No, you don't need. Like, I can't imagine. Oh, this is just like Canada here in Austin, Texas. Identical. No, it's not. But anyway,
a little different.
Yeah,
a little different. And the only other thing from this race on the track, a lot of talk about this being a bumpy track. That doesn't seem like that should be something that you hear in Formula One at all to me.
Yeah, what does that mean, Graydon? What are they saying? Like, there's a lot of gravel out there? What's going on?
It's not that there's gravel out there, but the conditions of the tarmac are a little rough. You can see it with the cars. They're shaking up and down. Like the front wings are shaking up and down. You see it in corner, the way the back tires are kind of they're losing the back end a little bit throughout. I'm not sure what's up with the condition of the tarmac at COTA. It's not all that old of a track. It doesn't make. I don't understand why it's bumpy. I can't explain why that is, but arguably it's true. You can physically see them like jostling up and down.
Are the street races like the ones that take place within actual cities? Are they generally bumpy because they're real roads? And whereas this being a track should be sort of a lot better, at least maybe not bumpy, but
as Atlantans, we might overstate how bumpy roads are normally, and some cities do better job maintaining their transportation infrastructure. But it's I mean, I don't know. Like, I think of. No, I would say not necessarily. I mean, Monaco, I don't think people think of it that way. Singapore, definitely not. Although Singapore having really lovely, beautifully maintained roads kind of feels on brand for them. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know if I'm not, I don't know. So.
Okay. Well, pull in Atlanta and throw some sheet metal on top of those. That'll make for an exciting race. We had an exciting one anyways. That's all the stuff on the track from the US Grand Prix. Verstappen, I think, has a 12-point lead over Hamilton with 5 races left in the season. But it wasn't just on track that was fun in Texas. Off the track was incredible. Graydon, you said you've been to the US Grand Prix there at the Circuit of the Americas. Are the festivities always this festive?
I mean, it was a huge party when I was there, no doubt. It was like Austin itself was electric and the track was electric and people were having a great time. But this weekend did seem on another level. The crowds were huge. The air, people just having every time they cut to a shot of the fans, they seemed like they were just having a blast. Guys doing shoeies in the crowd and like people doing, absolutely on another level. So I think it seemed, even compared to other F1 races throughout the year, I mean, it seemed as if the crowd was so loud, so fired up, which was cool to see the level of enthusiasm there.
I don't remember a 90-minute pregame show for an F1 race either, which is what we got here, at least in the States on ESPN. Is that just because it's here in America, so let's really blow it out? And maybe because of the timing of the race too, like it was weird to watch a race in the afternoon. I got to be honest, I missed not having my my cereal cut in my mouth early in the morning watching this. That was weird. I like it in the morning. I'm a fan of racing at 7, 8, 9 in the morning. Not as much in the afternoon. On a weekend, you got things to do. It's a big reason why I don't watch a lot of football. I want to be outside. But yeah, they haven't done this 90-minute pregame show. It was amazing.
No, I think you're right. I think it's two things. It's they always do a little bit more for the US Grand Prix.
Okay.
And then 2, actually ESPN, if you generally watch ESPN programming on like a Sunday afternoon, it's always kind of weird and random because they're not trying to compete with the NFL. So it's like, I think they had like plenty of time to like burn. They're just like, we might as well just do this because they're always showing, they don't save their premium stuff for that spot. So.
Fair enough. There was a lot of weird and wild stuff happening, though, and it started actually during the week. Formula One and the NBA announced that they were going to have some sort of basically a content partnership for this weekend. You could see that playing out. The first thing we saw, though, Graydon, we had this on No Dunks last week, were all of these Formula One NBA liveries. I'm not showing them all to you here. There's just a nice 16 of them. They did one for all 30 of the NBA teams. I guess my question is, what NBA colors do you think would make for the best Formula One livery? Like, what kind of car do you like to see out there? Like, I love, I think Aston Martin switched to the green this year. I think that looks really slick. Obviously, the Bulls have a red one here, very reminiscent of Ferrari, a classic color car as well. What do you think, Graydon?
I did like the Bulls, one of these I saw a lot. I actually thought the Wizards one looked sharp. I just kind of like a white livery sometimes. I think, and I just thought it looked really sharp. So they definitely were doing a lot of that old Renault thing where they had one color on the top and a different color on the sides. So kind of depending on the angle, it looked different. A few of them didn't work for me. I didn't love the Knicks one. I don't hate the Knicks color scheme, but I just thought it was, I don't know. It's
a little McLaren.
It was a little McLaren-y. I guess that's fair. That's fair. And I actually do love the McLaren livery. So no hating that. I don't know. What was y'all's favorites? Skeets?
I don't really have a favorite, I'm being honest. I guess I sort of like I don't know if we're looking at it right there. I'm squinting. I don't have my glasses on. The Bucks one, like the green.
Yeah, green and cream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I like a green car too. I'm with you, Trey. I think it looks cool. But yeah, I mean, I thought a lot of these were fine. I mean, I was fascinated by how much NBA like crossover stuff was happening with F1. I was like, what's going on here? I thought like you guys, maybe me, and then like 80 people here in the Slipstream were like the only like NBA and F1 fans, but maybe there's a lot more than I thought of.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good explanation for that.
Right? There must be, because it started even when the NBA season started. Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly, guests of Tony Parker's at opening night. And the only reason I really bring this up is to show you guys the only time that I've ever met Lewis Hamilton. Go ahead and take a look right now.
Can I plug you too?
This is me.
Trey Kerby from the
Hey, what's up? Taking a picture. And see there in the orange in the background? See in the background?
Nice, man.
You see him in the background there. That's me with Lewis Hamilton.
For a second, when you turned this on, I was like, man, that's not Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, no, that's me taking a picture of me and Neymar while Lewis Hamilton just stands there, and I have no idea who he was. This must have been 17. This must have been 2017, Skeets. This was like, the challenge would always be take as many selfies as you can with a famous person.
Yep.
So a famous person walked by me, and it was Neymar. I was like, that guy is famous. I know him. How about the guy in the orange?
Wow.
No clue. Turns out it was Lewis Hamilton. I remember having to ask Lee Ellis, who was that other guy there with him? If I could go back in time, I would take 2 pictures.
Oh, man.
Really makes you think.
Unfortunate.
Really,
yeah, you're
really
a Lewis fan now, too. Yeah, that hurts.
I'm a fan. Ham stand, if you will. But my favorite part of the weekend was the announcement from the NBA and Formula One that they would be shooting free throws, a charity free throw contest between, I think they ended up doing 10 different drivers from Formula One, which meant we got to see some of these guys shooting basketballs, some of them for the first time ever. Go ahead and take a look here.
Where did this air, by the way? Like, it wasn't on television, was it?
I've only seen clips online. I don't know that they showed this. We're seeing George Russell, his first time shooting a basketball.
Okay.
It's a brick.
For his first shot, it wasn't atrocious.
I like Yuki and Gasly handling here.
The helmet's on is a nice touch. I like that.
Yeah, helmet's on. Air ball. But Daniel Ricciardo, not bad. He was doing his southern accent, sounding like Lee Ellis doing a southern accent. I mean, hell, I'll sink threes all day if I have to. And then he steps up with the camera on. No problem.
Oh, okay.
Not bad from Ricciardo. However, the champions ended up being the Aston Martin team of Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. Skeets.
Wow.
Look at him here with Fabricio Oberto. A little bit of Spurs content for you, Graydon.
Love that. Love to see the NBA champion Fabricio Oberto.
Yeah, felt pretty good, Skeets, that Aston Martin took the win here, because I think you said Nora picked Lance Stroll as the best. He went 6 of 10, and Sebastian Vettel went 3 of 10. 9 of 20 was good enough for the win. And honestly, just look at these ballers.
Wow.
You can tell that Vettel knows how to go between the legs, even though he kind of looks like that John Lennon walking down the street meme. And Stroll's form looks pretty nice here.
That's not bad. Yeah. I mean, it's coming off
bad.
the fingertips. Maybe it's a little too far in front of him. That's okay. He's pulling away the guide hand a little too quickly just based on this photo. But yeah, my wife called this. We were talking about it. She told me about this. I was like, what? They're doing a free throw competition? Again, I was like, I want to watch this. Like, where is this? We could not figure out for the life of us where the heck it was airing or if it was. But Nora said, Stroll's going to win. And I was like, why? I was like fascinated to hear her reasoning. And she was like, well, I mean, he is Canadian. He maybe has a familiarity with shooting a basketball, playing hoops, like growing up, whereas a lot of the European guys possibly don't. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Good enough reason for you. Good enough reason for me. And she sort of called it. I can't believe 9 out of 20 was enough as a team to win.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So, yeah.
Vettel does play. I think Vettel is a basketball fan. He's mentioned he liked Michael Jordan as a kid, which I don't know if that makes you a basketball fan, but he's said it before. So.
I mean, you're seeing the handles here. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's just ready to cross over anybody.
No,
anybody.
ankle breaker.
Practice your free throws, kids, as
Right.
Ray Ellis would say. After the race, however, we weren't done with the NBA because they had Shaq there. And they brought him out instantly. And it started being hilarious right away when he came out to deliver the trophy in the most Texas car that has ever existed. I don't know. This is just Shaq's car. This is just Shaq's car. He finally makes his way to the podium where he lifted Max Verstappen by one arm and then towered over the rest of the podium. Look at this. He's taller than Lewis Hamilton, despite the fact.
This is not the Photoshop version. This is the real one. This is how big he was up there.
Yeah, very funny. And the Photoshops, of course, were also very funny. The giant Shaq. And then this one came out since we've done No Dunks, Skeets. They gave you a little forced perspective on the trophy that Shaq handed to Max Verstappen. It looks tiny when Shaq's handling it, but gigantic in the hands of Maximum Verstappen.
I liked when the broadcast, I forget who, which guy said it there, where they were joking that when Shaq pulled up with the trophy to obviously give it to Max, he's in the car, it pulls up, and then they always go up those little stairs, or there's an elevator to get up to that like higher podium, that platform, that he was just going to hand it up to him. He's like, here you go, just reach up and hand it to him, which would have been great. Do they ever put like a celebrity or, another dignitary, like, I get that they hand out trophies and stuff like that. Like, that's not surprising. But, like, the way they play Shaq between the two guys, like he did finish, 1.5 in the race, that is weird, right? They don't do that probably.
No, you really don't see that. No, they're always off to the side. You oftentimes see. Also, by the way, this person is normally like a politician.
Yeah.
Or like, it's not normally Shaq, I guess.
It's not normally Shaq. Well put.
I mean, we've worked with Shaq before on a couple of shoots. Like, someone may have told him, hey, man, stay over here. And he's like, no. And then it's Shaq. So what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to stand right here. Okay, great. And maybe the F1 is like next level thinking, like, this will be funny. Have him stand in between these guys, and he'll be towering over the guy that's even on the second place podium in Lewis. But it was made for some great photos and Photoshops for sure.
So much good stuff at Texas. I almost feel bad jamming these in here, but nobody had more fun than Daniel Ricciardo, who was looking like the most Texas man alive the entire time.
Oh my God.
Dressed as Johnny Cash, I guess, for practice, and then showing up in the tucked-in Texas Longhorns jersey. Incredible stuff.
Look at him walk. Those pants are too tight, mate.
Boots on. Tucked in jersey, gentle fist pounds for everybody. Brought out the new beard. Is Daniel Ricciardo American? Is he Texan?
I think he bought a house in Austin or something like that. He loves it. He said that for years. He loves everything. He loves like partying. He loves live music. He loves all the things that Austin is. He got there when he first came to Austin. He was like, "This is it. This is my home. I love this place."
Wow.
He was obsessed immediately.
Okay. And you're a Longhorns fan too, aren't you?
I am.
Are you going to buy that jersey?
Am I
Ricardo
That's a Coachella 2035 jersey for you.
That's a good one. I just might.
Huge weekend though for Ricciardo, because not only did he get to show off his love for Texas, his team principal Zak Brown also had to get a tattoo on his arm after making a promise to Ricciardo that if Ricciardo ended up on a podium, Zak Brown would get a tattoo to commemorate it. Now, Ricciardo won at Monza, so Zak Brown got a tattoo of the course at Monza. Skeets, doesn't sound like you love this tattoo.
No, that is a lame tattoo, especially for, sort of a bet they had going. That's pathetic. That shouldn't even, I mean, look, I wouldn't even know what that is. It looks like a boot, like a bad sock or something. Like, I don't know what I'm even looking at here if you didn't tell me. So.
A bad sock?
Yeah, like a floppy sock. My buddy Brody used to always wear floppy socks, and it drove me insane. It's like, come on, man, just replace your socks. The elastic band's gone. It's like hanging off your foot. Like, everybody has a friend that would take off their shoes at somebody's house or somewhere, and like their sock like is just like dangling off their foot because there's no integrity to it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I can't deny it. It looks like a dangling sock.
Yeah.
That guy's going to have a dangling sock on his arm for the rest of his life. But Zak Brown, much like the Lannisters, Zak Brown pays his bets because he had to get this tattoo, and he also had to let Daniel Ricciardo drive his vintage Dale Earnhardt NASCAR car.
Wow.
Now, apparently, Ricciardo is a huge fan of Dale Earnhardt. That's why he has number 3 on his Formula One car. He wore a Dale Earnhardt Eliminator helmet during the race this weekend. And here he is cutting it up in the old Wrangler out there. I thought a brilliant move by whoever put him in here to give him an open face mask so we could just see his gigantic grin the whole time
he was so
driving
happy.
this thing.
Yeah, I saw this on the pregame show. I didn't realize that was Zak Brown's car. I guess I missed that in the little lead up to it. But he was having so much fun driving that, Graydon.
Oh my God. If Zak Brown does have a huge car collection, by the way, there's a good YouTube video of Zak Brown going through his whole car collection. It's worth like the 15 minutes. It's insane. Some of the cars.
What are we talking? Like Jay Leno style here?
It's not like he has like fancy cars. He's like, this is the car that Michael Schumacher drove when he won X. And this is the car that Senna drove when he won X. And this is Dale Earnhardt's car. He has the actual racing cars from like some of the most famous guys in the history of motorsports. I don't even know how he got his hands on them.
This is the floppy sock that Daniel Ricciardo won at.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you get a tattoo of a cool car then?
Well, yeah, what tattoo would you have made him get? Like the Danny Rick's face
like
on there.
Even
like a shoe, like a shoey pouring milk into somebody's mouth.
Yeah, like okay. Well, maybe that's why it looks like a shoe, sort of. I don't know.
Oh,
sort of next level. Just attire. Maybe. I like the call on the shoey somehow. It's really good. More Ricciardo, less just the track. Was there a date on it too?
The date that they won the race.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yes, so.
Well, we've gone deep here on the US Grand Prix. We're an hour in and we haven't even got to the other 2 races. So we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to talk rain.
Yeah, this is an ad for Peloton, but it's from an avid Peloton user, me. I don't always do my classes live on Peloton, but I happened to take one on Friday, and it was my 100th strength class.
Hey!
Amazing stuff. So I heard the shout-outs coming from my girl, Jess Sims. She was shouting people out. Happy 800 strength classes to this person. 800, 900, 1,000. I was thinking, I'm not going to get it. Yeah. There we go. If only I could lift a hoagie like Lee Ellis as we're watching him do curls here back at Summer League. So I was waiting for it, but then she got to some of the lower milestones, like 100, 150. She probably rattled off like 1,000 different names. Didn't get them either. She's popular. People are taking her classes, and they should be, because she's amazing. I wonder what my breakdown of trainers are through those 100 strength classes, because Jess is my number one. Adrian Williams, he's up there too. I'm part of the Thunder Squad. Selena
You a spearhead?
Yes, I have been, and Rebecca Kennedy, and those two are dating. That's how deep I'm in.
Whoa.
Wow. Spearhead and Kennedy are dating. FYI, big announcement. Anyway, yeah, Spearhead, he gives you a spear, he gives you the fist, gives you the power to work out. Anyway, I'm not really on the Peloton bike, but they have a lot of classes daily for that as well. I'm not sure if Spearhead is on that. I'm on the mat with Jess and Adrian. I'm also taking the running classes. I just had an hour boot camp with Jess Sims. It was more of a 58-minute boot camp because I couldn't get down those 2 minutes. That's Saturday 60 killer. But I don't got to. I get to. You better believe I'm part of the hashtag you get to crew. Anyways, with the Peloton bike, there's nothing like working out from home. Learn more at onepeloton.com. New members can try Peloton classes free for 30 days at onepeloton.com. onepeloton.com/app. Terms apply. That's onepeloton.com.
Yeah, there's not many emails I enjoy receiving more than my weekly recap from Grammarly, because just last week the email dropped into my inbox with the title, "Your grammatical accuracy was flame emoji last week." I understand what they're saying.
Oh, they're speaking your language.
Yeah. I've had others.
This is where you're getting all these quotes from. The Grammarly email.
He's turned on like the hip cool.
It is lit.
Maybe that's an approach Grammarly can take, is like, speak the language of the street, or the TikTok language as well. Because others I've got, your writing was on point, dart emoji. That one's a cool one. So, it's great to be a grammar guru. That's right. According to Grammarly, I am a guru. Not a hoodoo guru, but a straight up grammatical guru. Pretty gangster if you ask me. We already know there's the gangster gardener out there. What about the gangster Grammarly dude? I mean, that could be me. Those backslapping emails, though, have inspired me, because I used to focus on being brief with my writing, but not anymore, because if you get an email or a message from me these days, I've taken the long way. The more words means the more checking by Grammarly, which translates into more confidence-building emails.
Hold on, I think you're doing it wrong, man.
Nah, man, I want more words. I want them to check more and then give me more compliments coming back. You wrote so many words last week and they were so good, so it's great. And you too can be a Grammarly gangster like me. It's easy. Grammarly will save you from embarrassing Wow, I've spelt embarrassing wrong here. Incredible. How did that work? Anyway, Grammarly will save you from embarrassing spelling, punctuation, or grammar mistakes, or from your internet browser or your laptop or even your phone. You can get it on your phone, which is great because we're all on our phone sending messages these days. If you're in the PTA, you've always got to respond to sort of, messages about what's coming up in the class and the school. Haven't got any responses yet about how good my grammar is on those yet. But anyway, you can cut down on editing time and write more confidently with Grammarly Premium. Get 20% off Grammarly Premium by signing up at grammarly.com/no-dunks. That's 20% off grammarly.com/no-dunks.
Back with no breaks. Graydon, on the first podcast we did, I revealed myself as a casual by making the basic prediction that Lando Norris would win his first Formula One race in the second half of the season. A prediction you shamed me for so hard. Ugh, still burns my soul. I thought it was going to happen in Russia, buddy. I thought Lando had it. Talk me through what happened in Sochi.
For me, this is the race of the year. It's my favorite race of the year. I thought it was insane and so much fun. And Sochi always gets a bad rap for being a boring race. I don't think that's necessarily true historically. It certainly wasn't true this year. You had really intense fighting up at the top, with Lando starting out so strong, maintaining such a great lead the whole race. Hamilton hunting him down, looking like he wasn't going to be able to get it done. On the flip side, you saw great action in the back of the race. You had Verstappen started 20th, Leclerc starting 19th, Bottas starting 16th. fighting their way, in particular Leclerc and Verstappen fighting their way through the field. I think Leclerc overtook 7 people on the first lap, eventually gets overtaken by Max himself, battling back up into the points. They're fighting their way through, Hamilton's hunting down Norris towards the end. And then what happens? The rain arrives. With just a few laps to go, everyone is debating what to do. Should they go in? Should they stay out? Only 2 guys choose to stay out, thinking they can make it work and it will be huge for their, race winning odds. Norris and Leclerc, and both of them, it proves to be a catastrophic error, just a heartbreaking error on Norris's front in particular. Right, had he merely come in. Even that very next lap after, there was still plenty of time after Hamilton had pitted. There was more than a pit stop window for him to go in, come back out, and still confidently be in the lead. He stays out. He just cannot handle the car in such heavy rain. He ends up cratering to 8th or something like that after he finishes. He finishes in the points, but much further down. And you end up having after what is an insane final laps, the incredibly standard I think bull of Hamilton, Verstappen, and then was Sainz third?
Sainz finished
third in that race, who actually, because of his good management of the tire change, actually wasn't having a great race. Sainz was, after a great start, getting into first and battling with Norris in the beginning, was kind of slowly fading back, maybe on pace to finish 5th or 6th or something like that. The tires helped him out as well. The switch to wets helped him out as well, helped out Bottas immensely, got him out at 14th or 15th up to 5th. But just an insane ending and a heartbreaker for Lando Norris, as heartbreaking a finish to any race as maybe I've ever seen, short of, I don't know, something like when Hamilton's first title in 08 or something.
Oh, classic. Who can forget that one? As you saw from that picture before, I was a huge Lewis Hamilton fan way back when. But yeah, I mean, just honestly, like the biggest bummer for Norris, especially like hearing all the radio calls too, and hearing afterwards, like Hamilton literally thanking Mercedes, like, thanks for pulling me in to get me the right tires. And just the way it went down for Lando, like coming around that turn, and he just like slides way out, and you're like, it's the saddest way you could possibly imagine it too. Cause like, it looks like his car isn't moving. It looks like he's stuck on ice, and you're just like, this is why it's so hard to win a race if you're not in one of the top cars. It ended up being Lewis Hamilton's 100th win of all time, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty crazy when you got one guy going for number 1, and then he makes the tiniest mistake, and it's like and the next guy swoops in, and that's how you win 100 races. It was crazy. And I also liked, watching this one, how the fact they knew it was getting rainy on the track was they saw all of the people putting their umbrellas up in the crowd. They're like, umbrellas out, rain must be here, things are going to get interesting. And yeah, Mercedes made the right call on this one, as we'll see with Turkey. Maybe not so much the case, but that was a crazy ending. And yeah, maybe the race of the year. What do you think, Skeets?
I just love the communication that happens between a driver and like their pit crew or their team back there. I think it's so wild at times, like a driver like telling them to shut up basically, and they're always just trying to stay so calm, like either the direction that they're giving or like, let's change it up or don't stay out there. And it's like, oh my goodness, like they're driving 200 miles per hour. They all want to win. They're some of the best in the world at what they do. And they want to probably just like, let's go. Let's just drive through this half the time. And you've got to be like, no, that's not the right play. And I'm sure they talk about it in advance and all that. And they have a plan A and then plan B and C. But when you're out there, I'm sure you're like, you hear Hamilton all the time, like getting upset with the decision being made and stuff like that. Yeah. But they just have to remain so calm. The calm team does in talking to them. And it's just an amazing dynamic. And that we get it on a broadcast is wild too, to me. Does that get like cleared by a team? Like, when we watch an NBA game and they wire up a player and all we get is like, hey, great job. Hey, nice down. And they don't say anything, because the reason that happens is all the cool stuff that player may have said, it's shown to the NBA and shown to the team, and they have to say yes, no, yes, no. So it's usually just generic crap. But does that go through like a similar process that Graydon?
No, I actually believe it is fairly open season.
Wow.
I think that it is. In fact, I think the radio messaging in general is fairly open. I think teams do monitor what other drivers are saying and things like that. And then because let's be real, some of the things they put up there are absolutely they are strategic insights. Guys are talking about pitting. They're talking about staying out. They're revealing the plans of the teams. You know what I mean, in real time. So they're absolutely useful. And then you hear other teams say that. You'll hear Christian Horner say to Max, oh, Lewis is struggling with X or Y, whatever. And they're clearly that they're using these all as insights into their strategy. So that is radically different than the sort of mic'd up model where it's like, let's go guys, let's go.
Let's go.
That's sort of crazy when you think about it, because what you're saying is a broadcast can have an impact on race strategy. Like a producer, a director is deciding what to use. I mean,
well, they can monitor everybody's radio. So honestly, what the producer is saying, chooses, is a little bit. I don't know if it's impacting race strategy, because let's say if you're Mercedes, you're listening to everything that Max is saying. You're listening to his whole broadcast. So you're not listening to everybody's. You don't care what they're saying to Mick Schumacher, but you're listening to your rival.
Wait, you don't think there's a guy on Mercedes or Red Bull that just has to listen to the Stroll feed? I'm
on Stroll duty. Stroll position.
There we go again.
I think they're listening to the guys around them and
okay.
But it is still wild that we get those insights.
It's great. I think it makes the race really, really interesting too for, again, someone like me that's pretty new to the sport. It's cool that you can hear them freaking out or discussing strategy while they're going 200 miles per hour. It's amazing to me.
Which I also think it opens up, somebody in the comments just pointed out that gamesmanship happens. They're correct. It opens up the opportunity to be deceitful over the radio, to say one thing and do another, which is always interesting. But the other thing that they do in F1 that I love is the way they do press conferences, where they have multiple guys from different teams being interviewed together. We should do that in the NBA.
Ooh,
what if at the end of the finals you had to put Chris Paul and Giannis up there together, and they had to answer questions collectively?
Yeah,
it would be insane.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, Christian Horner, is that his name? The guy.
Yeah, he's the Red Bull principal.
Yeah, that guy's never met a mic that he didn't like. That guy loves to talk.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100%.
It feels like he's on the broadcast. They check in with him 3 times a race. It feels like let's go to Horner, see what he's thinking. He's gladly will tell you. Now he might be saying deceitful things. He might be a little trickery here and there, but that guy loves the camera. And it's, I guess, no surprise he's married to a Spice Girl.
and it's no surprise that Red Bull was the only team to participate in Drive to Survive from the very first of the major teams, not only teams, excuse me, but a Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. They were the only one that agreed to participate from the very beginning.
And Horner, obviously. Isn't there news with that? Isn't Max saying he doesn't want to do it anymore? Is that true, Trey? Do you know about that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. What did Max Verstappen say? He said it's not going to be in season 4 of Drive to Survive, which is the season that's currently filming, will be based on the season we're watching right now. Max said, I understand that it needs to be done to boost the popularity in America. He's talking about Drive to Survive. But from my side as a driver, I don't like being part of it. They faked a few rivalries, which don't really exist. So I decided to not be a part of it. And I did not give any more interviews after that, because then there's nothing you can show. What a super bummer. This guy might win his first F1 title, and it's not going to be part of Drive to Survive.
That is a bummer. That is a bummer. That's disappointing. It's also, this could be a kind of his coming out party in the US, right? This could be a huge popularity boost for him. It's not surprising in the sense that Max kind of probably gets to call the shots at this point, but it is a little surprising because I know Red Bull, almost certainly the way they approach media and they think about media, would absolutely want him to participate.
Well, it's almost a reverse Mercedes, right? Because Mercedes wasn't in the first season and they're like, oh, this is actually awesome. People are going to love it if you're in this. Let's be in this.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than a Survivor contestant complaining about their edit too. I mean, I get it. They're going to try and make things more dramatic than they probably are. That's just what Max is saying. He's like, no, this wasn't even, they show things out of order. I get all that. And like, they just hype it all up, but come on, man, it is helping your sport. And you guys said it, like you'd very possibly be winning your first title here in the season that they're recording right now. And he's not going to be there, which sucks. That sucks.
And a pretty good point from Lawrence. Such a drama-filled season. They're not going to really need to create anything. Like,
good point.
It ain't going to be fake Hamilton and Verstappen bumping wheels every 2 races out there. But yeah, that's honestly too bad. But you're right, Skeets. Verstappen has gotten the villain edit.
Yeah,
if we're talking Survivor, which honestly is a little surprising to me that there are so many American Red Bull fans. But nonetheless, I wish he was going to be in it. I'm sure we'll still get a lot of Red Bull stuff, though, from Christian Horner, like you're saying. And like we were saying earlier, listening is very important. You got to listen to your meteorologist, and you got to listen to the guy telling you to get tires. Graydon, tell me what happened at the Turkish Grand Prix.
Ooh, I'm glad that we got a little bit of drama with Hamilton here at the end, because this probably wasn't going to be my race of the year. The Turkish Grand Prix, turned into, a little bit of a parade at some point along the way, but it started out a little rainy. Everybody kind of thought maybe the track would dry out. Toto Wolff itself had said, we're going to start on inters, but we expect it to be dry in a little bit here. Never really happened. It was damp out there, it was cold, and the track just wasn't drying out. So people stayed on inters, which started to beg the question, when am I going to change tires? The tire change window is huge, or am I even going to change at all? And, as we got deeper and deeper into the race, a few drivers started to entertain the idea that they might go the full distance on one set of tires, which, is allowed in this instance if you're on wets or inters. And in this instance, Hamilton was considering it, Leclerc was considering it, and Esteban Ocon, in fact, did it. But so Leclerc initially tries it. He ends up getting out into the lead after other people pit. But then suddenly his tires, they fall off a cliff. He ends up getting gobbled up by Bottas. It's clearly the wrong call. And he comes in. To be honest, his call to stay out probably cost him a podium. He had great pace, was driving really well, and was cruising in third. And his choice there probably cost him that podium spot. But he wanted to push. He wanted to push for the win. He thought it was within his sights. When they called him over the radio, he was ecstatic, thinking maybe he could take it all the way to the end. Hamilton had similar thoughts. He felt really good about his tires, thought he was going to be able to get there, but only 5 laps from the end? I mean, how many laps were we from the end when they called him in? They basically in the end said, you got to come in. These tires are not going to make it. You're going to fall off a cliff here. You're going to get gobbled up by multiple people behind you, potentially Checo and Leclerc, but also Gasly was driving at a pace that he might have ended up even a further spot down than he eventually did. So they called him in. Hamilton was not happy, and was very upset about it, thought they made the wrong call. I personally think they made the right call. They have a lot of data. And if you're looking at the way other people who were pushing their tires so far were tracking the sort of pace that Ocon was doing at the end of the race, a lot of people said, well, Ocon went the full distance. He drove one less lap. And those last few laps, he was lapping at a slower pace than the Haas's were going. He had fallen off a cliff. So I don't know that Hamilton was going to be able to stick it out. I think they made the right call. But at the time, Lewis disagreed.
And yeah, like you're saying, he was pretty upset about it. And it kind of felt like he wasn't getting the full information with that stop. Cause like, as soon as he pitted, he's like, what? I just lost 2 places. I didn't expect that to happen. So I don't know who that one was on, but I don't know. That was strange to me. And that coupled with what happened at the US Grand Prix, it's like, you don't expect Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes to make mistakes at all, but they're happening more often. And Red Bull is really seizing the opportunity. So I don't know. I feel like Red Bull is winning the championship. They're doing their best. They're going out there and putting up huge times. And Verstappen has been the best driver, I think, this season. But Mercedes is making a lot more mistakes than you would usually expect from them. So you're right. They've got all the data. They usually make the right call. But this one felt weird to me. And coupled with US GP, it's just like, I thought these guys were supposed to be perfect. I thought they were never supposed to miss a mark on their tire strategy.
They're human, Graydon.
It's also something where, strategy gets harder when it's more competitive. Part of their kind of perfect execution strategy is they've been executing it from a great distance out in front, where in clean air with no, kind of no issues, it's a lot easier to just call your own shots and execute a strategy that is safe and works and brings you home in first. When it's such a tight race and they're battling every single week, the strategy, it just gets so much more dynamic out there. It's not nearly as easy. And we're seeing that. And you're seeing the disagreements because Hamilton, also such an experienced driver, so much confidence in his own perspective out there on track, is not easy to convince of an approach that he doesn't readily believe in.
Yeah, you talk about gamesmanship. I feel like Hamilton is the number one guy with gamesmanship. Like, as soon as he starts driving, he's like, oh, these tires suck. These are the worst tires. I can't go fast on these tires. The next thing you know, he's setting fastest laps. My favorite part from this race, Max Verstappen finished 15 seconds off the lead, but 33 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez. They asked him afterwards, what was the hardest part of the race? Staying awake is what he said. He's like, this was a boring drive for me. And I guess that's just how it is sometimes. Like, they didn't have to make a lot of strategy calls. They were faster than everybody else they were racing, but not fast enough to catch Bottas. Very funny, I thought, from Max Verstappen, but unfortunately for him, that will not be in Netflix's Drive to Survive.
Oh, you're saying there won't be a scene where Max Verstappen was eating sunflower seeds to keep himself awake during the race? That's a nice little tip for anybody doing long road trips. My buddy Dub told me that once. Eat sunflower seeds. It keeps your mind engaged because you're like cracking it and you're spitting and all that. And it actually works. So.
Maybe that's the perfect snack for a Formula One driver to have. Just a little bag of pop them in, spit them out.
Oh yeah, some people are so good at sunflower seeds. You they can put 100 in their mouth on their left cheek, and then bring one over at a time. Cracking on the right side, a little spit. And then the air is going to get really dirty. You're going to have sunflower seeds, flying into other cars and stuff.
Wait, you're telling me there's people that put like a big chunk of, and they're just managing that all intra mouth. They're just,
I can't do it. I'm horrible at it, but people can definitely do that. Yeah, it is amazing. I think Tass might be pretty good with a sunflower seed.
Oh, I can chipmunk a sunflower seed.
Oh, you can do it?
Yeah, we were talking about dangerous cereals on the podcast earlier today and how they can really cut up the top of your mouth.
There he is.
If you put like 30 sunflower seeds in your mouth, that thing is just going to just get destroyed. It gets so dry with all the salt and the seeds. It's so gross. Oh, it's so gross. It just feels like a desert in there. One other thing I wanted to ask you, Skeets, about this. They debuted the nose cam at the Turkish Grand Prix. Literally a camera on the nose of the car. They would put the graphics down on the track so you could see how fast people were going, what kind of gears they were in. Do you like all these new cameras they're doing? We've seen the nose cam. They had the helmet cam earlier in the season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love it. Like anything that can bring you, of course, closer to the experience of actually racing these things and the speeds they're going and the decisions they're having to make and just how close they are a lot of the time. That is always wild to me.
Yeah.
Around turns and they're like inches apart, but they know exactly where they are and they don't touch. I love them. I thought it was pretty cool. I was for it. Were there people pushing back against it? Like, it's sort of strange to me. We've never had a nose cam, I guess, Graydon. Like, what took so long? Right? It's 2021. What's going on?
I don't know, actually. It's a good question. Why didn't we have that? I don't know.
I feel like they didn't bring it back yet, though. They had the nose cam at the Turkish Grand Prix. I don't remember seeing it at the US one, though I might have missed it in qualifying or something like that. I preferred the nose cam, I think, to the helmet cam. The idea of the helmet cam, I think, is awesome, but a little too wiggly, for one. And number two, terrible quality. It's like when they first started doing the pylon cam in the NFL and it was like they had like a 1 megapixel camera. For whatever reason, they always start with some shitty camera and then upgrade as time goes on. I'm sure it'll get better and better, but bring them back. Nose cam, helmet cam. It's about all the cams you can really, not many other places to put them, No,
not really.
A Formula One car.
I mean, I guess people in the Slipstream are saying the nose cam is not new, so maybe it has been around.
Liars.
It's new to us, I guess, here. Mr. SR, MSR is the one I'll give the credit to. Who knows? New to me, and I like it. So, yeah, keep it.
Let's keep it.
I like it too. We're on a 2-stop strategy for today. We got one last pit stop, and then we will finish things out. Stick around.
The NBA season is back, duh. We're talking about it here, which means NBA League Pass is back, which means you're likely watching more games on your television set. And while I'm sure your picture looks good, I got a very important question for you, Lee. How's your sound, bro?
It's okay. Could be improved.
Yeah, that's
what do you got for me?
Well, can you hear the bing bongs cascading through MSG? Because they were. I know Bing Bong Guy was there.
Bing bong.
And he said there were some people in MSG dropping bing bongs, but I couldn't hear them if you don't have the right sound system set up, Lee, is what I'm getting at here. So raise the bar of your entertainment with the Sonos Beam, the compact smart soundbar for TV, music, and more. Enjoy panoramic sound for shows, movies, and games when the TV is on. And then, I love this part, stream music or radio when it's off. That's one of my favorite parts. I do have to remind myself all the time that the Sonos Beam, it's not just a soundbar for your television. Like, you can use it as a speaker when you got the TV actually off. The control is easy with the Sonos app, your TV remote, Apple AirPlay 2, or your voice with Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. Setup, super easy. It's a breeze. 2 cables, automatic remote detection. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it, trust me. With Sonos, you can start with 1 speaker and expand your system over time. I got the Move, and now I got the Beam, baby. All Sonos speakers wireless connect over Wi-Fi, so you can group speakers in different rooms and play music throughout your home. I have, like I said, both of these, the Move and Beam now. Pair those bad boys together. Whew. Just listen to the bing bongs bounce off the walls. Left and right.
Bing bong.
It's like I'm there.
Sound.
You guys know how much I talk about watching a game at MSG. Now it's like I'm there. It's incredible with the Sonos. So if you want to learn more, just visit Sonos.com. That's all you got to do.
Compared to pumpkin patch photo shoots and costume planning, shopping for life insurance with Policy Genius can be one of the easiest tasks on your October to-do list, though I will say I've got a pretty easy costume setup. I'm either going as Forrest Gump or Brad Miller, so should be pretty easy. Nonetheless, if you want something easy, how about that Policy Genius? Makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. And you could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius thousands of 5-star reviews across Trustpilot and Google. And eligible applicants can get covered in as little as a week, thanks to an award-winning policy option that swaps the standard medical exam requirement for a simple phone call. This exclusive policy has recently been rated #1 by Forbes Advisor. Getting started is easy. Head to policygenius.com, and in minutes you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need, compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and scheduling for free, because Policy Genius doesn't add on extra fees. Nice stuff. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Back with no breaks. Graydon, I was scrolling your Twitter earlier to find that sick picture of you wearing a cowboy hat, and I'm glad I did, because the first thing I saw was Lewis Hamilton in undercover boss makeup.
What?
What is going on?
I have no idea what this was about, but I did see these and immediately had to tweet these out. I was like, what is going on here? I have no idea what's going on.
I only included half your tweet because the other half had to be the punchline. There is some big, I think you should leave energy here. Everybody's happy when they're getting the makeup put on, but not quite the same when it's off your face. That's a great Netflix show.
Oh man, can you go back actually to the Lewis Hamilton costume?
I don't want to leave anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Should be at the bottom of this.
Yeah.
On the right.
Hold on. Come on. Go with me here a little bit, Trey. He's trying to pull off a Graydon Gordian, I think, a little bit. He looks a little bit like you. He's got the hat, the glasses. There's a good beard coming in there. Oh man, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, very funny. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see why Lewis Hamilton is in disguise. But honestly, if you want to just be in disguise, just go as yourself, buddy. Some people won't even recognize who you are, completely ignore you. I was going to ask you all about the Netflix world here with regards to Max Verstappen. Has Netflix made Formula One a little bit too American, Graydon? There was a ton of content around the US Grand Prix, a lot of off-track stuff. I love it. I love content. I think it just makes the race seem more fun and more exciting. But if you've been watching Formula One for more than 4 years, maybe you're like, why do we have Shaq up there? I think that could be a legitimate concern, but I think it's outweighed by the fact that more and more people are watching. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think Americans are loving it. The people are like, this was, can you have too much content? We love content. This crew right here loves content. No, but I think that the Shaq thing was a little silly. There was a lot of stuff going on, but I also wonder, honest question, because I don't know, are we just picking up on all that because it's in the US and now we're seeing it? Are they doing lots of like when they have the Chinese Grand Prix, or there are a bunch of goofy things that are maybe, targeted that audience or whatever? I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just not exposed to it in the same way. It did feel very Americanized this weekend, though.
That it did. That I would agree with. I think people in the slipstream are pointing it out. They do always have celebrities. I mean, this is a rich person's sport. We've talked about that before. You guys have, and it makes sense that you're going to draw the big names there, and they're going to be down there on pit row. Was it Martin? Is that his name with the broadcast?
Martin Brundle.
Yeah, where he was doing the walking around, which. Tell me, that's something he normally does. Probably hasn't because of the pandemic. This was like the return to it, right?
Yeah.
Hilarious, because it's really funny trying to see him figure out who he's going to talk to and then do like 3 questions and then he's off and talking to somebody else. But there was, and Nora was telling me that I guess there's a section of F1 fans that were pissed off with the Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper that was down there. She's walking with all her bodyguards. And he's trying to get like a little interview. He's trying to get like 3 questions in. I think he asked her to rap, which was maybe a little
What's
weird.
your rap?
That was a bad question.
But F1 fans were like, why is she there? That doesn't make any sense. Like, she shouldn't be, like, she doesn't seem to be a fan if she doesn't know who he is, I guess. And, their bodyguard's like pushing him away. And this is probably one of the most respected, I assume, F1, broadcasters in the game. Okay, maybe there is a point there. But then, he talks to Chris Bosch and it was really great. I thought it was a really fun little interview. Like, Bosch knew his stuff and he was talking about his relationship with Hamilton. So, I don't know what I'm getting at here. I guess I could understand why some people are like, why are they there? But then I told Denora, I was like, you could say that about everything. You think the people sitting courtside in an NBA Finals game are like diehard NBA fans? No. It's like it's a B scene type of thing. So it happens everywhere, I guess is my point.
Brundle also had, second to the Alpine quote about being able to pass off track, Brundle had the other quote of the weekend, which is that one of the bodyguards told him, you can't do that. And Brundle said, yes, I can, because I just did. Yeah. So that was like, great quote.
I think he should lean into the bit and just try and fight everybody on pit row. I love that idea. He's a feisty guy. And that was hilarious. I guess people are saying, and I had seen this going around before, Mark is saying that Martin once did a grid walk interview with Serge Ibaka, and he asked him, "Can you pick me up?" And Serge was like, "No."
Okay, this is a good bit.
Yeah, so I mean that's a weird question to ask a guy. I mean, I get it. You're like, "Wow, this guy is huge." Like, if you ask Shaq that, I'm 95% convinced he probably just picks him up right away. I
think that's it. Martin's kind of messing with people. Same with asking Megan Thee Stallion to rap. I don't think he's like some grandpa who thinks like, well, you're a rapper, you should rap. I think he's poking fun at people a little.
Yeah,
I think he's messing with them a little.
I think it's that, and also like put yourself in his shoes. Like Trey and I have done similar things, maybe not as wild as that, where you have a producer in your ear saying, hey, there's Megan Thee Stallion. And you might be like, who the hell is that? And they're like, she's a rapper, get her, and he's like, okay, well, what am I going to ask this rapper that maybe he does or does not know? I'm assuming he doesn't. So, he's put in a tough spot, but you're right. He's probably just trying to get the laughs as well from us. And it usually works.
It's working.
Yeah, it definitely worked. I think a solid take from MSR, who says, as long as they don't mess with the regulations and make it too gimmicky, don't care about
Right.
the off the track stuff. That's
a good
exactly
point.
right. Exactly right.
Agree to agree. Yeah.
Another good question from the Slipstream team, something I actually had wanted to ask you about, Graydon, comes from Eric Harper. Can we talk about the newish pit changes? All I understand is that there's a little bit more of a human element. The question I more so have for you is why would they change the pit stop regulations during the season? That's the crazy thing to me. It'd be like, all right, we're not calling charges anymore for the next half of the season.
You know, they do. It's not unprecedented to make regulatory changes during the season, especially when they're oriented towards safety, which I think this one was fundamentally about. I think they felt that that there had been issues, too many issues with pit stops around whether it's personal safety in the pits or the cars being unsafe on the track because of a tire wasn't, secured appropriately or something like that. And I think that, makes them want to, so if the overriding concern is safety, they'll act immediately, right? They won't wait. It's kind of how much safer is it making it? I don't know. I mean, we have had fewer kind of messed up pit stops, or at least pit stops where somebody has left the pit, and things were messed up. We've definitely had some blown pit stops, across the board, including with Red Bull, who was famously so fast. In fact, some people in the comments here are suggesting that perhaps maybe that was the real reason behind it. I don't know.
Good at pit stops.
I don't know. Well, I do think that, if it is making pit stops safer, where you do have so many people surrounding these cars, everybody is moving so quickly, I think putting safety first in these instances is perfectly reasonable.
Safety first, then teamwork. That's what I always say. We got 3 races coming up here in November, a triple header. Incredible stuff. We got the Mexican GP, November 7th, the Brazilian GP, November 14th, and the Qatar GP for the first time, November 21st. After the race in Austin, Lewis Hamilton said that Mexico and Brazil are traditionally Red Bull tracks, Graydon. Next time we talk, end of November, beginning of December, you think this is going to be wrapped up for Red Bull?
Whoa.
Wrapped up? It's tough to say. Certainly some of the I don't think so. I think it's going the distance. I think it's going to be really tight right up until the end. Maybe not literally the very last race, but I think at least in Qatar they'll still be battling for it. I think. So,
why do they say that these lean towards being a Red Bull sort of track? What's the reasoning?
I think it's because they both are tracks that favor really strong downforce packages. The air is so thin in Mexico City. It's at such a high elevation that it's hard to get the downforce needed to take turns quickly and things like that, right? So you have people running very aggressive aero packages that still have, less drag than the packages they run at like Monza or something.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of it's about that. It's about the elevation. And so Red Bull has historically had high rake, really high downforce cars that allow them, a lot of strength in the corners. They have a little bit more balance this year. There's a little bit less radically in that direction. Maybe they have been in the past, but I think both also the high camber corners in Brazil are similar in the sense that they want, both of those favor, Red Bull's historic approach to how they generate downforce.
I have a question. I think I saw this going around on Twitter over the weekend. It's a fun one for you, Graydon, for sure. And you too, TK. Of the 4, well, it's going to be 4 North American races. So obviously Austin, which we just had. Now we got Mexico City. Montreal is usually on the calendar. It's coming back next year. And then they're adding Miami. Of those 4, which one would you most want to attend? And, we'll go to you first, Graydon, even though you've already attended Austin. I don't know if you've been to Montreal or Mexico City, but
I actually haven't been to either of those races. I think for me, it's probably Mexico City. I think it's just a really fun race. I think when they go through that stadium, it's a really cool moment. It'd be an incredible place to, witness it. I think it'd be, I think it'd be cool. It'd definitely be between them and Montreal. It's close.
Okay.
I think it'd be close. I mean, they're both iconic races. I'm going to say Mexico City. It's the one I think most actively about going to next. So maybe I've answered my own question.
Okay, there you go. Don't go to Montreal. It's just like Austin.
It's the Texas of the Texas
where
of
you
Eastern
are.
Central Canada.
What's the difference?
Yeah. But what about you, Trey? Are you going with the new one in the mix, Miami, and then Montreal, Mexico City, or Austin?
My answer would be Miami, just because it feels like it's going to be a humongous party. It's going to be, to me, the North American equivalent of like a Monaco, where it's like, oh, we're having a huge party for 3 days. Also, there's going to be a race here. But that's also kind of what Texas just felt like. And I love that snake curve at the Circuit of the Americas. And I don't know, been known to tuck in a shirt these days, so might be fun to head on down there to Texas, tuck in and watch some racing.
Yeah, we got to definitely get no breaks out to one of these races.
Totally.
That has to happen. You love Mexico City too, right, Graydon? You've actually been to the city.
I love Mexico City. I think it's incredible. So fun. Incredible food, incredible culture. It's great. That's partly why I want to go. But admittedly, I also love Montreal and Miami. These are all cities that I love to visit.
All great cities.
There's no bad choice here.
Okay, good.
You got any idea what to expect from the race at Qatar? They haven't had a race, but it will be a night race.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot of expectations on it. I think it's also one of those things where without the the historical data, I guess, but I'm excited for it. It'll be good. I wish, the only thing I'll say about it is that I do kind of miss the days where Brazil was closer to the end of the season. I think some of the last couple of races probably aren't my favorite tracks of the year. So I wish that I kind of miss the day when Interlagos was the end of the season, because it can be so exciting. And if the season is very close, it makes for a great race, but is what it is.
Is that the race you're most looking forward to, this triple header? Because there has been a lot of drama at Interlagos in the past few seasons.
Yeah, I think it's great. Brazil for me is always one of my favorite races of the year. It's crazy. So,
what makes it so good?
I don't know. That's a great question. There's a few great, I mean, sometimes maybe by sheer coincidence, just crazy things happen, on the track. I do know that first straight and then that into turn one, which is this like deep banking, like elevation drop turn, is a great point for passing. And then it goes into a long straight. And it's just one of the great moments on the F1 calendar where you see really aggressive racing, really aggressive overtaking. There's 2 quick DRS sections in quick succession. So you see guys pass and then get passed right back and things like that, right? And it just makes for a lot of really aggressive battling on the track that you just love to see, right? That's what you want to see, right? Is guys going wheel to wheel, and Interlagos, for one reason or another, has the potential to produce that. So.
This is a good question in the slipstream here from Greg, talking about that last one you guys are talking about here with the little 3 races back to back to back. Do teams get any practice or data about a new track, or do they have to wait until they show up for FP1? Do you know the answer to that, Graydon? I know that's pretty difficult.
I don't know. I actually don't know I'm sure they have some information on it. I'm sure they have weather information or maybe conditions about the literal track itself. But I think a lot of the data in terms of actual car performance in those conditions, they don't have. Now, they probably can simulate a lot of things, because they know things like, they know the elevation, they know average temperatures, they know other things that are going to affect the performance of the car, and they can run that through simulations and get good insights into car setup, tire choices, etc. But it's all still speculative until they get out there and start really, hitting the track.
No, that's pretty cool. Nora sent me a photo. I guess it was on Instagram. She said George Russell was in Miami walking the track for the new race. Eventually next year. I was like, geez, it's getting quite the jump on that.
Let me get my toes on that. I also saw him sideline at a Miami Dolphins football game.
Right. But I think it was in London. I think it was.
It was.
Oh no,
he's just getting prepped. But hopefully we still got a championship race the next time we are talking. Hopefully that thing isn't over. But that's enough for today, Graydon. Thanks again for joining us to talk about fast race cars. Go follow Graydon, y'all, at Mr. Gordian on Twitter. Graydon, do you have any hats you would like to tweet this week?
I don't know.
Any new hats?
If I do, I mean, I'm not going to reveal it right now.
Yeah, that's a
Ooh,
good
yeah,
point. No
surprise
spoilers.
when it
No
comes.
spoilers.
How he
Yeah.
gets his followers up. It's early days with your twins, Graydon. But who do you think's going to be the better driver between your little boy and
Oh,
your
I think
girl?
I think it's I think it's the little girl.
It's
I
Frances?
think she's
Yeah.
just got she's a fighter. You can tell she's scrappy. It's not just about the pure speed. It's about the racecraft, and I can see it in her eyes. She's calculating.
Oh, I love
she's
it.
gonna be, yeah, she's gonna
Okay.
be. She's gonna be the racer in the family for sure.
Awesome.
So.
Congratulations again to you and Taryn. This guy's got twins, and he's jumping on a podcast talking about race cars that go vroom vroom. Look at this guy.
Look at this guy. What a
I'm
guy.
glad that things I said made sense. I was worried I was going to be like so tired. I'm just like spewing random, sentences start stringing together and things like that. So.
You knocked it out of the
We
park.
love it, man. You crushed it. You taught us about high rakes and high cambers. Both of them. Skeets, what's your favorite term? High rake or high camber?
High camber. I don't remember what it means.
Same, but we'll figure it out at some point, and we'll let you know what it means on our social accounts. That's a segue. Make sure to follow No Dunks at No Dunks Inc. anywhere you can. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's at No Dunks Inc. anywhere. Email us at nodunks@theathletic.com. Let us know if you want more or less no breaks. We just love engagement. We're back tomorrow on No Dunks to talk about basketball, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then later, we got No Buffs on Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. More content than the US Grand Prix. Whew. You guys, thank you. JD, thank you. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Stay speedy, people.
You could